And welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about Eastern Conference Semifinals Game 2 between the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics, and the Western Conference Semifinals between the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, there was a lot that happened last night. There was some boneheaded plays that happened last night in both games, and I wanted to do a post game video, but I was just too disgusted by the first game that happened, and what happened in the first game. Now I'm about to dive into the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics. Congratulations to the New York Knicks, up 2-0. Like I said yesterday, and I've been saying this all week. Teams that go up 2-0 in a series win the series 84% of the time. But one thing that happened last night that struck me a little differently, and why I didn't do a post game video, is the way that the Boston Celtics literally just let this game slip right through their fingers. This was the same rendition that happened in game 1. They were up by 20, but before I get into that, let me cover everybody's scores from the Knicks and the Celtics. Mikal Bridges 14 points, OG Anunoby 5 points, Karl Anthony Towns 21 points, Jalen Brunson 17 points, Josh Hart 23 points. Bench production: Mitchell Robinson 6 points, Cameron Payne 0 points, Miles McBride 5 points. Boston Celtics. Now, Boston Celtics, like I said, they had this game slip through their fingers. Jason Tatum, 13 points. Al Horford, 4 points. Drew Holiday, 10 points. Derek White, 20 points. Jaylen Brown, 20 points. Bench production: Luke Cornett, 6 points. Kristaps Porzingis, 8 points. Xavier, Peyton Pritchard, 9 points. So, these are all of the players that scored in last night's game 2 of the Knicks Celtics series. Now I'm gonna get into the point where this game turned on its head. The Boston Celtics, they started out the game well. First quarter being dominant, second quarter being dominant, and then it seemed like it was almost like it was coincidental. On time, the Boston Celtics had a 20-point lead again in the third quarter. This was the middle part of the third quarter. So mid third quarter, Boston Celtics had a 20-point lead, and then all of a sudden, the Boston Celtics got a little lazy, lackadaisical, as I like to call it. They went from being up 20 to, after the New York Knicks going on a 22-2 run, 20-point lead became all of a sudden became a 4-point deficit. And all throughout this playoffs and the regular season, I said that the Boston Celtics, they live by one thing: by those threes. Now, me, back in high school and middle school, I was a 3-point shooter. But there would be at times where my shot wouldn't go in the net, and I would go down in the paint and just pack my game into the paint. And that's exactly what the Boston Celtics need to do, because this is ridiculous right here. I'm going to go to team statistics. I'm going to tell y'all some staggering numbers right now. The Boston Celtics missed the most threes in game 1 in NBA history. They were 15 of 60. Now, last night, they were 10 of 40 from the 3-point line. In the past 2 games since this series has started, the Boston Celtics have missed a NBA history record number of threes: 75 threes through 2 games. Now, does anybody remember when the Houston Rockets missed 27 straight threes just 7 years ago in a game 7 versus the Warriors? This is 1,000 times more awful than what the Rockets did. Because the Rockets, we know that they were a team that was live by the three and die by the three, but they still was able to go inside the 3-point line and generate some shots. The Boston Celtics, they did not generate any shots inside of the 3-point line. So, and for the series, they are 25 of 100 3-point attempts. So they are making just a quarter of their 3-point attempts. And when it comes to the New York Knicks, now, New York Knicks, man, New York Knicks after the New York Knicks won this game, all of a sudden the fans, they was popping up in my mentions on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, and Instagram. I mean, everywhere. I mean, it was just New York Knicks fans galore all in my mentions, and especially Stephen A. Smith. Only thing I was looking at my Twitter, and then all of a sudden I seen Stephen A. Smith, and I mean he was happy. But let me tell you, one thing about the New York Knicks, they are up 2 games in this series, and they are 2 wins away from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. And the last time the New York Knicks was in the Eastern Conference Finals was the start of this millennium, 2000. So it has been almost exactly 25 years. But let me go back. Let me go back to the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics, you are playing around with a guaranteed ticket of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. See, and this is what gets me when it comes to 3-point shooting teams. Now, like I said, back in middle school and high school, my basketball team, we were a 3-point shooting team. But when the 3-point shots wasn't going in, we would always go inside the 3-point line. But it seemed like the Boston Celtics, they've just been settling for threes. That's why I say a player's game has to be diversified outside of just making 3-point shots. Because would you rather take a 27-foot jump shot, or would you rather take a 15-foot jump shot when your team is going through a shooting drought? Not to mention, but for 9 minutes in the game last night, 9 minutes, it was just three and a miss, three and a miss, three and a miss, three and a miss with the Boston Celtics. I don't know how many times Kevin Harlan, yes, Kevin Harlan, he was announcing the game last night. I don't know how many times Kevin Harlan said, this guy, Jason Tatum for 3, missed it. Jaylen Brown for 3, missed it. Peyton Pritchard for 3, missed it. Who else? Kristaps Porzingis for 3, missed it. I mean, Joe Mazzulla. I like Joe Mazzulla, but it's just with him, he has got to have more enthusiasm on the sideline. On the sideline. And when you have your teams going through a 4 or 5 minute drought of not scoring a point, tell them players to go pack it into the paint and get fouled and go to the free throw line and make the shots there. All of this settling for threes and stuff, it's not going to work because the New York Knicks interior defense, let me tell you, that 3-man bench rotation that the New York Knicks have, it's not going to help out. It's not going to help out. When you get later on into the series, it is not going to help out. And we already know that Tom Thibodeau, he is old-fashioned. That's why I say Tom Thibodeau, he is the type of coach, he is going to monk up the game, make the game look ugly, and try and keep his team within a close margin in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter of every game. That that the New York Knicks have played. That is their game plan. Now, as you can see, the statistics for this game was pretty much in, you know, 3/4 of the way was in the Boston Celtics' favor. And then it seemed like in the last 12 to 15 minutes of the game, everything just switched. And I do mean everything just switched. And everybody over the last 10 or 12 hours have been saying this. We need to take Jason Tatum into question, his play into question. Excuse me. Do I think we need to? At times I do, because he always says that he has the Kobe, he wants to play like Kobe. He always has that Mamba mentality. But let me tell you, Kobe, if his 3-point shot wasn't falling, Kobe was a bulldog. He would get into the paint. He ain't care how big a Joker was or how strong a Joker was coming down that flow. He was going to make the shot no matter what. And that is what Jason Tatum needs to do, because he the face of the franchise. He the face of the Boston Celtics. Me, me, like I said, I'm the head of, I say, hey, look, I'm the head. If I'm the head of a team like I am now with this, with YouTube and my Instagram show, see, I'm the head. I got a promotion team that works in the background. But one thing, I set the tone for everybody. I set the tone for everybody on here. I set the tone for everybody on Instagram. Now, if my promotion team, if they feel like that I'm not confident, then what does that leave them? Now, is Jason Tatum confident? Of course he is confident. But in the fourth quarter, we need Jason Tatum to take over the game. He hasn't taken over the game yet. Now, in the series versus the Orlando Magic, he never had a signature game. Now, in the regular season, he had, I would say, he had 8+ games of him scoring 30 points or more. In the playoffs, it has been 25, 21, 22, 23, and last night 13 points. Last night, Jason Tatum, he stunk up the joint. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that. Now, I love Jason Tatum, but this is why I started this show. This is why I started Instagram. I want to keep everything 1,000. Jason Tatum stunk up the joint. I have tremendous love for him, but hey, gotta stay 1,000% real on this show. Jason Tatum, games 3 and 4, you need to come out firing. You need to come out very efficient. Jaylen Brown, he had a good game too. And I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown, he has had back-to-back 20+ point games in this series. But Jason Tatum, you are the head man. You are the team leader. Get yours first. Immerse yourself into games 3 and 4, because if Boston lose, I'm gonna say, if Boston lose either one, and I do mean either one of these games, game 3 and game 4, their season is pretty much over. Now, last season, they won by shooting threes, by attempting 45, 50 threes a game. But against a team like the New York Knicks, a team that doesn't rely on threes as much, and that is the first couple of games in this series, the New York Knicks have been the more physical team when it comes down low in the paint. Boston, everybody predicted you to win this series. I predicted you to win this series. And I still think that the Celtics can win this series, but they can't lose game 3 or game 4. Because if they do that, the New York Knicks, they are not going to let the Celtics come back and win a possible 3 out of 4 games and let this series and tie this series up and facing a game 7 on the Celtics home floor. So if so what the Boston Celtics need to do, they need to win game 3 to have a chance at pushing this series back to Boston. Because like I said, I'm gonna say this: Boston is like, Boston. They have so much potential if they just stay focused for a full 48 minutes, or for a full 53 minutes, or 58 minutes, depending on if they play 2 overtimes. Because first game, it was going to go into a second overtime until they made those sloppy plays, until they started turning the ball over. Now, in this game, in this game, the Celtics had 17 turnovers. The New York Knicks had 16 turnovers. Have y'all noticed that I really haven't been focused on the total rebounds and the offensive rebounds? Because the Boston Celtics, this series should easily be 2-0 Boston. It really should be. Everybody, and I do mean everybody on the Boston Celtics, everybody on the Boston Celtics, they need to play better. They do. Now, Derek White, he did what he had to do. He had 20 points. Jaylen Brown, he had 20 points. Drew Holiday, strictly out there for defense, he had 10 points. But Jason Tatum, 42 minutes and only 13 points is unacceptable, my brother. Unacceptable. Now, he is the one that has been talking about, legacy and career and trying to bring multiple championships back to Boston. Everybody, and I do mean everybody in the world of sports, I'm going to say this: in the world of sports, everybody can just win one championship. Some teams, they luck up and win a championship some years. But to be special, to be great, to be a dynasty, as everybody likes to call it, you have to win multiple. And for you to be a dynasty, you have to win at least 3 championships in a short period of time. Most people say 5 to 7 years you have to win 3, and I believe that that is a good time benchmark when it comes to winning 3 championships in 5 years or 7 years. Now, the Boston Celtics, they have the potential to do that, but they need to stop playing down to their competition. The New York Knicks, they are just an above average team. Now, Boston, we expect more. We expect more out of Boston. We expect more out of Boston. The New York Knicks, one thing I can say about them, I know for Saturday. Now, I hate that they have the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics playing at 3:30. I hate that, because I believe that the Knicks and Celtics, they should be playing at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. 8 o'clock. That would be a great time for the Knicks and Celtics. But hey, I am not a schedule maker for the NBA playoffs. So only thing I can do is I can give my commentary on the next game. But Boston Celtics, you have to win the next game. You just have to. It's a must do without fail. It's imminent. And as y'all can see, I done spent almost 25 minutes talking about this game, because that is how much I was disgusted by the Boston Celtics play of basketball last night. Like I've been saying, Boston Celtics, they do too much showboating when they have these big leads, these 20-point leads, these 25-point leads. If I'm the coach, Joe Mazzulla, you got to give them more enthusiasm. When you see that a run is about to commence, you got to call timeouts. If my team, I'm going to say this, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna be done with this game because I got to get to that massacre that I saw in OKC yesterday, and I think I'm gonna spend about 20 minutes on that game just alone. But this game, if I'm Joe Mazzulla and my team is up by 20 points, and I see my opponent starting to gain momentum and go on a little 7-0 run, 8-0 run, and my lead is down to 11 or 12 points, I'm calling a timeout. Don't wait until the New York Knicks bring the deficit back down to single digits and all of a sudden call a timeout because the momentum is on their side. So the Boston Celtics, game three, I'm expecting Jason Tatum to have a signature game, 30 plus points. And I'm expecting Jaylen Brown to have his normal 20 to 25 points per game. And the Boston Celtics bench production, y'all got to step up too. Y'all have the better bench production than the New York Knicks. So why are y'all messing around with the New York Knicks? Because if the New York Knicks win game three, y'all might as well bring out the brooms. And I hate to say that for Boston Celtic fans. I hate to say that because Boston Celtics, worst case scenario, they lose in the NBA Finals. Best case scenario, they win the NBA Finals. But if they lose this series, it's unacceptable, and somebody is going to lose their job. I'm going to just go ahead and say that. Now, I'm not calling for nobody to be fired, but if the Celtics lose to the New York Knicks in this fashion, this series, in this fashion, having 20-point leads in every game and somehow losing the series, somebody is going to lose their job. Somebody's job is on the chopping block if they lose game three. I'm going to just go ahead and say that. Now, I'm not here. There's no speculations on that. But if I'm an owner and my team has had 20-point leads in back-to-back games and they still lose, even though that this is their brand of basketball, live by the three, die by the three, I'm paying the head coach. I'm paying the head coach millions and millions of dollars to at least to switch it up. If the threes aren't falling, Boston, go into the paint, pack it into the paint. Game three is Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Let's see what the Boston Celtics can do because the Boston Celtics are the best road team in the NBA. Let's see if that comes true in game three and in game four. And that's all I have for the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Now, let me get to this doggone massacre that happened in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma last night. What in the world happened with the New York Knicks? I'm going to tell y'all something. The Oklahoma City Thunder fried the Denver Nuggets last night. Put the Denver Nuggets in an oven and they fried their tails last night. And let me tell you, that's a pun intended there. Everybody like good old Southern style chicken nuggets. And that's what the Denver Nuggets were last night. Chicken nuggets. Only thing OKC, I seen them in the first quarter. They scored 45 points in the first quarter. They had everything going. They had the fish grease bubbling. They had everything. They had the water boiling on the stove. They was ready. They started cooking. And I can tell you, OKC, man, they scored in the first half. They scored a record, an NBA playoff record, 87 points. That's incomprehensible. That is incomprehensible. 87 points in the first half. When I seen that, I immediately said that this game was over. And I just said to myself, I'm like, I ain't even gonna do a post-game reaction. I'ma just come on here on the show and give y'all my clear-cut, unfiltered reaction to this game. Now, like I said, OKC, they are a balanced, they have a balanced starting five. You can see it. I'm gonna read these stats. You see Chet Holmgren, 15 points. Jalen Williams, 17 points. Isaiah Hartenstein, 14 points. Shea Gillis Alexander, 34 points. Lou Dort, 12 points. And then you had significant contributions from everybody on the bench last night for the OKC Thunder. Jalen Williams, 3 points. Dylan Jones, 4 points. Ozami Dean, 2 points. Kenrick Williams, 2 points. Excuse me. Ozami Dean, 2 points. Kenrick Williams, 4 points. Alex Caruso, 2 points. Isaiah Joe, 14 points. Aaron Wiggins, 10 points. Kaysen Wallace, 8 points. And AJ Mitchell, 10 points. Now, Oklahoma City, they had a little adversity after game one. They won game two last night. Tomorrow night, they have game three in Denver. And it's been a minute since OKC has won in Denver. So let's see if OKC can keep up this momentum and win games 3 and 4. Now, if they win game 3 and 4, they have the home court advantage back. That's why I say game ones are fill out games when it comes to leagues like the NBA, MLB, and the NHL. They have 7-game series play. Game ones are always a fill out game. And you can see one thing. When it comes to the OKC Thunder, the statistics last night for the OKC Thunder was a staggering. They shot 60% in the first half. They ended up completing the game with 56% shooting. And let me tell you, as far as 3-pointers, Denver, they was only one three-pointer shy of being even with the OKC Thunder. But I'm gonna say this. One thing about the Denver Nuggets, I've always said that the Denver Nuggets, they are just an above average team. They got rid of Mike Malone, and it seemed like Nikola Jokic, he has took charge as far as calling the plays, telling everybody to get in this set, get in that set. Because one thing, the Denver Nuggets under Mike Malone, see Michael Malone, he was very mellow in his coaching philosophy. He was very mellow, and seemed like Nikola Jokic, and not just Nikola Jokic, but management and ownership didn't like the way Michael Malone was coaching and where he had the team headed. See, like I said, when it comes to head coaching, sometimes you have to shake things up, and that might be taking 2 players out of a lineup and taking 2 players off of the bench and putting them in the starting lineup. Michael Malone, he wasn't doing that. And the Denver Nuggets, over the last, I'm going to say, month and a half, have been in between a rock and a hard place. And we pretty much saw nothing, just nothing from the entirety of the game. Denver Nuggets was leading 2-0 in the first 10 seconds of the game, and that was the only lead they had of the night. OKC had a lead as large as 49. But one thing I can say, for the Denver Nuggets, game 3, we know that they are going to play better. If I was the head coach, Dave Adelman, for the Denver Nuggets, I wouldn't even put this game on tape. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put this game on tape. I would just say we just gonna throw this game in the trash, ball it up like a piece of paper, throw it in the trash, and let's just get back to our practice today, and let's start game three off with let's start game three off more efficiently, because they didn't start off game two efficiently. After that first bucket, that was it. That was it. And I know that the momentum, to see, in the NBA, it's a game of runs and it's a game of momentum. Whoever whoever runs the game, whoever have the multiple runs, the most runs in an NBA game, and that sustain more when it comes to the momentum and actually having a lead and keeping a lead, then that team will most likely win. Now, OKC, they did that last night. Now, let's see what the Denver Nuggets can do. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's conference semifinals game in the East and West. New York Knicks, Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, OKC Thunder, and tonight, there's only one game on the docket tonight. The Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I will be giving my post-game reaction to that immediately after the game. So be on the lookout. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. We are also doing an expansion right here on YouTube. Over the next couple of months, we have NBA Finals playoff coverage, NFL OTAs, mini camp, and training camp to cover. So you do not want to miss the type of content that I have that will be coming in the next few months. And also, as far as the NFL schedule release day will be Wednesday, May 14th. So be on the lookout for those schedules. And remember, everybody, one last thing. The key is always on time.